Brian Palavaro on far here with Adam Campbell after his third place finish at the 2015 Hardrock 100. Congratulations, Adam.
Yeah, thanks, and congrats to you as well. Yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment.
Thanks. It feels like it.
Yeah.
You were third here last year as well.
Yeah.
Did one race feel any better than the other?
I think last year the day went way more smoothly for me. I was just really consistent and steady all day, and I think there was just no real expectations, and I was just in sort of awe the whole time, and just in wonder at the way things were unfolding, and was really able to stay in the moment. Whereas this year I had incredible highs and lows, probably the worst lows I've ever had in a 100 miler. Yeah. And
when did they come?
Actually, after Handies. So I went out probably a little bit too hard, running around with Killian basically to the top of Handies. You know, it's an incredible honor to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I paid the price for that a little bit, and the altitude really, really crushed me this year. Last year I didn't seem to struggle quite so badly with it, whereas this year it really sapped my stomach, and I just lost my legs completely. So I was sort of reaching deep into the bag of tricks to try to get through it.
Pretty early on.
Fairly early on, yeah. But
it doesn't feel like it at the time, but
yeah, no. Well, but the nice thing about it is, I mean, you can feel bad for 8 hours and still have another 8 hours of running to like pull yourself back. So, yeah,
it's something people don't really, especially Hardrock. Any 100 really, you can come back, but
yeah,
Hardrock, you can have mistakes, you can have bad spots.
It was a really interesting race. It was really, really dynamic. So I fell back to about 6th place.
And you were running with Killian in the lead.
Yeah, I was running with Killian in the lead, and then fell back to about 6th. But then we, between about 4 of us, we all sort of like rotated through several times, and it felt like a real race. Although you're sort of keeping your own strategy, we were also sort of going back and forth back there, so you could see people were having highs and lows throughout the day, and yeah.
How does that work? I mean, I can imagine racing 50 miles or a shorter time-wise 100. But to be out that long, did it feel like there was pressure all the time to like mark people's high spots or?
No, I wouldn't put it that way. It was more. It was nice accountability to remind you to like keep pushing yourself, and so it was just that. It's the beauty of races is it forces you to have to push a little bit harder than you would by yourself. So yeah, I use that as accountability to keep moving one foot in front of the other.
So you had a low spot on or after Handies, and then where else did you?
Oh, actually, basically any of the long road climbs. I was just having a heck of a time. Like I basically walked every one of the road, like the long road sections, and then the second we get back up into the Alpine, I sort of get inspired again and find my mojo. But any of those long gradual roads, just for some reason I just felt so uninspired at those points and really, really struggled. So, yeah.
And you were walking, and were you still able to sort of walk with a purpose, or did you?
No, I was walking with purpose for sure. But you could like people like Mike just sort of come bopping by, and Chris Price as well. So, yeah, and so it's it's a little. You just can't let it get to you because you're having your moment, they're having their moments, and you have to let that sort of roll.
Good to remember that philosophy. Yeah,
it is. No, for sure. And I mean that's sort of what you're here for. I described it as I had 100,000 emotions and thoughts in 100 miles, right? And you have to accept those low points and just accept that they'll pass, and acknowledge that they're going to happen and be okay with it.
And high points.
Oh, I mean, well, the high points are that part's easy. Like when you have the highs there, you have to take advantage of them as well and roll with it and sort of push a little bit at those points. But you just sort of look around at a beautiful view. We were going up, Oscars? Like that really crazy ski slope. What was it? Sorry, Grant.
The other side of it,
Yeah, and I remember I was like in the middle of it, just like struggling up this ski slope, and all of a sudden the moon popped out with this incredible cloud cover, and it was like, windy, it was raining a little bit, but it was also this like incredible magic moment, and I had to like remind myself to take a moment to really appreciate that.
Yeah. And did on the physical side of things, were there any points like late in the race where you didn't expect it, but you're just like, I feel good, let's roll?
Yeah, no, for sort of the last 7 miles actually felt quite good and was able to roll down, which is good because the person behind me was like only 2 or 3 minutes behind me, so I was lucky I was able to find whatever motivation I had to get her done at the end. But my quads were basically shot for like 30 or 40 miles in there. Yeah. So it's just not that much fun with that much climbing, but yeah.
You were on the edge of whether or not to run this race 2 weeks before the race. You glad you came?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, no, for sure, I really am. I find that with 100-mile races, you have to emotionally want to be there. You have to be willing to put yourself in a really uncomfortable situation. And if emotionally you don't feel like doing it, it's going to be way too much suffering for you. And a few weeks ago, I just wasn't sure if mentally and emotionally I wanted to do this to myself, and I knew sort of what the recovery time was going to be, and but I did had a really fun day out in the mountains a few weeks ago, and I was like, no, I really love doing this stuff, and I sort of found my mojo again, and it was nice to come in wanting to be out there for a full day. So yeah.
And how do you think that affected you? Were you putting in adequate and consistent training through like the late winter, spring season to?
No, so my training's been really, really different this year. I've probably run way less than I've ever run, but I've also spent way more time in the mountains, just moving through the mountains. So a lot more time hiking and climbing and skiing through the winter. So, mountain movement it's a really special skill set that really suits this course. If it'd been a more runnable 100-miler, I probably would have suffered a lot more. But the second we get into anything technical up here, it's that's sort of what I spend all my time doing. So
you're more efficient probally.
Exactly. So you can kind of move through it, and as I said, it's also what I enjoy doing. So
because it's very much. It's an endurance run, but so much of the course is like. It's mountaineering almost.
Yeah, it is. No, for sure.
not technical, but
that's the way I would describe it. You are. It's like sort of alpine style 100-mile running. It's not many times you're out in the middle of the night wearing shorts and a light windbreaker in a snowstorm on the top of a mountain, but
I'm having flashbacks of Virginia.
That was also on top of Handies as well. It was wild. It wasn't at night, but it was a huge snowstorm. I couldn't believe the weather patterns we went through this year. That was incredible.
The upper level winds must have been blowing hard because the systems would come in and just go and then come back, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's also mountain weather, and that's sort of one of the things that you come to challenge yourself with at races like this is you roll through those different systems, and it's incredible how your emotions and mind can change with the terrain and with the views and with the weather. It's you sort of roll with all that.
The psyche has an impact on the physiological.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah, it's I find that to be a really fascinating aspect of these big endurance challenges. Yeah.
I find it fascinating that you're coming from a triathlon type background, like super competitive, like Olympic development type program stuff, and you're loving the mountaineering side of trail running. How do you put those two pieces together?
I think, I had such a long time being on a very structured training program, and I enjoy the lack of structure. I'm always going to be a very physical, active person, and but even when I was doing triathlon, I used to guide for Outward Bound, so I've always had a very outdoorsy side to myself, the part that I enjoyed most when I was doing triathlon training was our trail runs, long runs and stuff, so it was always sort of being a part of who I am, and I think that background of having the really structured training has allowed me to now be a lot more intuitive with what I do. So it was years and years of highly structured, and now I can sort of let go and be a lot more free with what I do, and I'm really enjoying that. Yeah.
But you have the knowledge, I pushed it a couple of days in a row, I should not do it, or...
Absolutely, no, for sure, yeah, you can be a lot more freeform with it now, and I have a much better understanding of what my body needs, what I respond to well, and also just, I basically have like 20 years of endurance training in my body now, so
it counts for something.
It definitely counts for a lot, for sure. Yeah.
What else you got going on this year? Anything else?
In terms of races, I haven't really committed anything race-wise yet, but I do have a whole bunch of personal projects I want to do around the Canmore Banff area, which is where I live now, and I moved there 2 years ago and sort of bounced back and forth between there and Vancouver, but to me, it's some of the most beautiful mountain terrain in North America, and I'm really enjoying exploring my own backyard and setting new challenges in that area. And I find the mix of fitness with, I'm not doing overly technical mountaineering or activities, but combining those two can make for some really interesting routes and options in the area. So looking at maps now, trying to figure out new ways of linking up different stuff, and I'm really enjoying that.
You're inspired, aren't you?
Oh, I absolutely am, for sure. It's I find that it's a neat direction the sport's going. There's a lot of climbers and mountaineers who are doing speed attempts, and then a lot of ultra runners who are now moving more into the mountaineering side of things as well. And combining those two things, it's a really interesting side of a sport to me.
Now, do you think you'll try to bounce back pretty quickly to use your current fitness to do that, or are you going to give yourself a nice little pause here?
We'll see how the recovery goes, but I'm going for like a hiking trip with my dad next week, which would be really nice, and to Mount Assiniboine, and which is like one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been to. So we'll be camping for a few days there. And then in terms of actual training, as I said, it's a lot more intuitive to sort of see where my body's at, see where motivation's at, and go from there. But you do have to respect this. I mean, I find this race, I don't get quite as well. Last year it wasn't quite as sore from it because you're hiking so much.
Yeah.
But the fatigue is really, really deep, and you really have to respect how much it does take out of you. I mean, I'm not Killian. Like Killian bounces back. I'm also 36 years old, and I work a full-time job, so my recovery is a little bit different because of that. So yeah.
Yeah, and the difficult thing I think, and let me know what you think. It's really hard to gauge that fatigue. Like if you have soreness or an injury or niggle after a big 100-miler, you can respect that.
Yeah.
But it's so hard because you could run in 3 or 4 days.
Oh, for sure.
And kind of have that itch because you're fit and you're psyched. And how do well, I mean, last year I ran a 10K race the week after Hardrock, and it was good. And then I ran a 50K, Gary's Squamish 50K race, Gary Robbins. I ran it, I think it was 4 weeks later, and I felt amazing at both of those. And then 2 weeks after that, I was out doing a big day in the mountains with a couple of buddies, and I was about 12 hours into it, and I suddenly tank was empty, and I'm like, I'm done for the year. Yeah, and it definitely comes from Hardrock.
Oh, it did, for sure. Absolutely did. Yeah, I find, 10 days later, once your body, the soreness is gone, you can sort of start to judge a little bit whether or not you have any actual injuries or not from the race, because sometimes they can sort of stay a bit hidden. And then you'll have like a big crash. And then about 6 weeks later, I think once all the muscle damage is done, that's when like that deep metabolic cost is massive. And you're still I think if you were to do like a muscle biopsy after one of these things, there'd be damage there for a long time for sure.
Yeah. But damn it, if it ain't worth the price.
Oh, no, it absolutely is for sure. And I think you just, you have to be really, really careful, listen to your body and get out, but also get out and I think, motion is lotion, right? So get out and keep moving as well can make a big difference, but just, tone it down a little bit. Yeah.
From your talking, can I presume that maybe you'll put your name back in for the lottery next year?
Oh, yeah, there's a good chance I would for sure. There's other races I wouldn't mind checking out as well, but in some capacity I'll be back here next July, whether it's volunteering, crewing, pacing, or racing.
It's infectious, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. One of the problems is that this race kind of ruins you for any other race out there too.
Yeah.
If you like this type of terrain, some people like more runnable courses, and but if you're into big mountain experiences and really, really big days, which I do, then this type of course really, really gets you. And the other thing I love about it is it doesn't have to overhype itself. Some things just speak for themselves. They don't need to play it up. It's like, people are like, I remember going through one of the aid stations and the guy's like, yeah, you just have one more little bump to go. And you look at it, it's a 3,000-foot little bump, With
pitches like this on my off trail.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the easiest climb on the course.
80 miles in, that's exactly it. It's just so, it doesn't, you don't need to hype it. It's just, it is what it is, yeah. But, and the people are incredible here. It's such a great town for it. And the people that come out and watch, everybody just has so much respect for each other, and I really, really enjoy that aspect of it.
Having previously, anybody who finishes this race, no matter what it takes or how long, it's just such an awesome accomplishment. And it's something you can't, as you're saying, there's not the hype from the race, but it's almost indescribable, finishing it, not just racing it.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's so great that they acknowledge everybody that's out there. And even the people that, for whatever reason aren't able to finish the race that started it, the preparation just to get here is incredible. And it's, everybody, it's the same at any race, but everybody has a story to tell at the end of one of these things. And I'd love for Dale, the race organizer, to write a book about the stories that he's heard.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think some of the stories from some of the middle of the packers, people out there for 48 hours or 47, 59, 58, would be incredible. It would, what do they say? You experience a lifetime in 100 miles, right? And I think that'd be true.
This is a long life.
It's a very, very long. Everybody finishes a little bit more battered and worn, but it's definitely a very full life if you get through it. So
what's your favorite story from your race?
Oh, actually, my favorite story from today or from yesterday was my pacer. So I had this pacer. Her name's Anne-Marie Madden from Vancouver. She's an anesthesia resident, so she's in 4th year residency. So, works an incredible schedule. And she's one of Canada's top trail runners. She's just a wonderful person. And last week, she sent me a Facebook message, and she runs for Solomon, and was like, oh, good luck at Hardrock. I'd love to come out check it out sometime. I was like, oh, it'd be great to have you come out. And then I was like, yeah, if you ever want to come pace, it'd be awesome. And so she bought a plane ticket a week ago and flew out. And I'm like, are you serious? She's coming out? And so she's going to run 11 miles with me. Ran 11 miles up to Chapman, and she was supposed to then, we were going to swap out pacers. Got there, and something had happened with my other pacer. And I looked at her, I was like, do you want to keep going? And she was so psyched. So she ended up running 27 miles with me.
Wow.
Yeah. And just just so stoked the entire time. And her energy really, really helped. And it was, I think, a lot of people talk about the energy of the people around you at these races and how much pacers help and your support network. And that was one of those cases. I mean, last year it was Gary Rollins and Aaron Height.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me. And this year it was, Adam Chase and Anne-Marie, who it just, made a really, really positive experience in my day for sure. So yeah,
it was probably a little surprising. Now that you're walking through who your pacers were, perhaps one of your pacers overslept.
Well, no. Yeah, he might have. But it was also one time. It was also 1 o'clock in the morning. He'd been driving all day, so he did. Yes, he did fall asleep. So, but he also crewed for me and did a lot of other support.
I mean, it's a long day.
I can't. He was so psyched to go out and run too. I felt gutted for him because he really wanted to go and experience the course and. So he fell asleep. But luckily, Anne-Marie she got to benefit from his fatigue. So but nothing like jumping off a plane from sea level, coming out and crushing it for 27 miles unexpected through the middle of the night. You got a good person on your hands when that happens.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So congratulations on a great story-filled run.
Yeah, thanks, and same to you. That's it's a great accomplishment. You had a fantastic race, and I was really psyched for you. And you put so much work into this, and it's great to see that pay off as well. So
it was good to be back.
Oh yeah,
training and racing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you're looking lean. And what's next for you?
The Ultra Trail Gobi race.
Ultra Trail Gobi race. So tell us a little bit about that.
400 kilometers.
400 kilometers.
Non-stop. Gobi Desert. End of September, beginning of October.
And what's the course profile for something like that?
Incredibly flat.
Incredibly flat. All right. So the
10,000 feet total climbing and 250 miles.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, that'll be a whole different experience for you. So
I plan to take that even more casually, effort-wise, than Hardrock.
Well, I don't think 450 kilometers can ever be taken casually. So. No. So well, best of luck at that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Right on.
Oh yeah, it feels good. Should do this more often.
Well stand.